they've been trying to save this facility. I didn't realize that. I thought it was just recently, because I heard about it recently from some people, including
friends. Thank you, Secretary Healy, for your leadership, both in hosting and now leading
at this hour,
the UDCG. This is my first Ukraine Defense Contact Group, and I'm honored to join all of you today. And I appreciate the opportunity to share President Trump's approach to the war in Ukraine. We are at, as you said, Mr. Secretary, a critical moment. As the war approaches its third anniversary, our message is clear. The bloodshed must stop, and this war must end. President Trump has been clear with the American people and with many of your...
Ukraine, with U.S. assistance, has destroyed a Russian aircraft in combat.
Thank you so much.
The situation is
Mr. Minister Wilson, thank you for your support and leadership. Indeed, feels like a true warrior is leading the Ramstein team. Thank you so much. Dear ministers, dear generals, I'm grateful to each of you for your tireless work and for the strong joint decisions you have made for us, for all our people. Thank you so much. General Brown, this is the first time you are participating in a Ramstein meeting, and I think it is very symbolic, given your military background as a combat pilot and an F-16 pilot, and I'm sure that together we will do many good things to defend freedom. Yes, Mr. Secretary General, and I thank you for your faith in Ukraine, for your confidence that Ukraine will be among the allies in NATO. Ladies and gentlemen, next Monday will mark the 600th day of our resistance.
We are hearing unconfirmed reports that the aircraft may have been conducting a stealth mission when it was intercepted. Military analysts suggest that the loss of such an aircraft could pose serious questions for Russia's air campaign moving forward. The significance of this cannot be overstated. A Russian warplane, destroyed mid-air, with U.S.-supported technology playing the critical role. Why does this matter? First, it is a symbolic win for Ukraine at a time when morale is crucial. Second, it signals to Moscow that U.S. support is not just material, it is tactical, practical, and decisive. Third, it highlights the vulnerability of Russia's air power, which until recently was seen as one of its key advantages. Military observers note that with every successful strike, Ukraine is proving that Western assistance, particularly from the United States, can reshape the dynamics of the battlefield. This dynamic is more than a headline, it is a clear message. The skies are no longer Russia's uncontested domain. Reactions are beginning to come in from capitals across the world. In Washington, officials are closely monitoring the situation, though no formal statement has yet been issued. NATO leaders are expected to hold consultations in light of this development. In Moscow, meanwhile, state media is acknowledging the loss but describing it as a provocation fueled by American interference. The truth is simple: Ukraine's defenses, powered in part by U.S. technology, have dealt a direct blow to Russian air power. The ramifications of this strike will be felt not just on the battlefield, but in the corridors of diplomacy across Europe, Washington, and beyond. To recap once more, our breaking story: Ukraine has downed a Russian aircraft with a direct hit, aided by US-backed defense systems. The strike occurred in contested airspace, and the aircraft is confirmed destroyed. This is a story that will dominate the global conversation in the coming hours. We will continue our coverage with deeper analysis of how US support has transformed Ukraine's air defense capabilities, and what this downing means for the future of the conflict. Stay with us. This is breaking news. Welcome back to our continuing breaking news coverage. If you're just joining us, we've been reporting on a dramatic escalation in the war in Ukraine. Tonight, Ukraine has downed a Russian aircraft in a direct hit, with critical support from the United States. The strike has already been confirmed as a significant development, and new details are emerging as we speak. Military sources inside Ukraine are reporting that the engagement lasted only moments from detection to impact. Using radar-assisted tracking systems, believed to be enhanced by US-supplied technology, Ukrainian operators locked onto the Russian aircraft and fired a missile that achieved a direct hit. Eyewitnesses described seeing a ball of fire streaking through the night sky as the aircraft broke apart. Though officials have not yet confirmed the exact type of aircraft destroyed, analysts suggest it may have been a fighter jet or strike aircraft, likely part of Russia's ongoing offensive missions. What is clear is that the downing represents one of the most decisive Ukrainian air defense actions in recent months. The United States has been instrumental in supplying Ukraine with advanced systems such as the Patriot missile defense batteries, the NASAMS air defense network, and radar guidance systems capable of detecting high-speed targets. While officials in Washington are maintaining a cautious silence, the evidence strongly suggests U.S. technology was directly involved in tonight's downing. It is worth remembering that U.S. support has gone beyond hardware. Training, intelligence sharing, and strategic coordination have all been part of this evolving partnership. Tonight's strike demonstrates that cooperation between Ukraine and the U.S. has produced real, tangible battlefield results. For viewers just tuning in, Ukraine was down Russian aircraft with direct U.S.-backed support. A direct hit, a confirmed kill, and a moment that is reverberating across military and diplomatic circles globally. Consider what this means. Russia, and Ukraine, with U.S. backing, is sending a clear message: the balance of air power is shifting. This is not just a battlefield development. It is a strategic signal, one that will be closely studied in Washington, Moscow, and capitals across Europe. From a military perspective, this strike could have wide-ranging consequences. Russia has relied heavily on its air power to support ground offensives and to strike Ukrainian infrastructure. If Ukrainian defenses can repeatedly down aircraft with precision, it could force Russia to limit or rethink its aerial operations. That would mark a major shift in the dynamics of this war. Furthermore, morale on both sides will be impacted. Reactions are already coming in from key world leaders. Officials in Europe are praising Ukraine's resilience while quietly acknowledging the crucial role of American support. In Moscow, the Kremlin has vowed retaliation, accusing the United States of direct involvement in combat operations. That claim, if pressed further, could escalate tensions between the two nuclear powers. In Washington, the administration is expected to issue a formal statement later tonight. While it is unlikely that officials will confirm direct U.S. involvement in this specific strike, they will no doubt reaffirm their commitment to Ukraine's defense. The careful wording of that statement will be crucial in shaping international perception of tonight's events. Let's summarize as we close out this first hour of coverage. Ukraine has successfully downed a Russian aircraft, a direct hit made possible by advanced U.S.-backed defense systems. This marks a major escalation in the conflict, highlighting not only Ukraine's growing capabilities but also the depth of American involvement. The incident is likely to reshape Russia's approach in the skies and trigger strong diplomatic consequences worldwide. As we move into our next hour of coverage, we'll examine in greater detail the political reactions, NATO's role, and how Russia may respond to this loss. Stay with us. This is breaking news. We are now into our second hour of coverage of tonight's breaking story. If you are just joining us, Ukraine has downed a Russian aircraft with direct U.S.-backed support. The incident, confirmed as a direct hit, has already sent shockwaves through military and political circles. We've spent the last hour examining the details of the strike and the role of U.S. assistance. Now, we turn to the growing political fallout. In Washington, officials are treading carefully. While there has been no official admission of direct U.S. involvement in this strike, it is widely understood that Ukraine's ability to achieve tonight's success depended on American-supplied technology and intelligence. Senior figures within the Pentagon are monitoring the situation closely, while lawmakers across the political spectrum are already framing this as proof that U.S. support is working. Privately, some analysts in Washington suggest this may become a turning point in the narrative, evidence that American aid is not simply defensive, but transformative. In Moscow, the response has been furious. State-controlled media is portraying the downing as an act of U.S. aggression, framing it as evidence that Washington is now directly engaged in the war. The Kremlin has vowed what it calls serious consequences, though it remains unclear what form that retaliation might take. Military experts warn that Russia may seek to escalate air operations or intensify strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure in response. Tonight, Russia is not only dealing with the loss of an aircraft, it is grappling with the optics of being bested by a Ukrainian strike supported by U.S. technology. Within NATO, officials are welcoming the success of Ukraine's defenses while emphasizing unity. Leaders in Europe have long urged the alliance to maintain strong support for Kyiv, and tonight's events will be cited as proof that such assistance yields tangible results. Behind closed doors, however, there are concerns about escalation. If Russia interprets this as direct U.S. involvement, it could increase tensions between Moscow and NATO as a whole. For NATO, this is a delicate balance, supporting Ukraine while avoiding direct confrontation with Russia. Tonight's downing brings that line into sharper focus than ever before. Let's repeat the headline for those just joining us: Ukraine has downed a Russian aircraft with direct US-backed support. A confirmed hit, a dramatic strike, and a moment that is already reshaping the conversation about this war. Public opinion is also beginning to shift. In Ukraine, celebrations are being reported as citizens see this as proof that their defenses are holding strong. In the United States, supporters of continued aid are pointing to tonight's success as justification for further assistance. Meanwhile, critics caution that the risk of drawing the U.S. deeper into conflict is now greater than ever. Analysts warn that Russia may not take this loss lightly. Options available to the Kremlin range from increased airstrikes, to cyber operations, to stepped-up propaganda aimed at blaming the West. The danger is escalation. Each success for Ukraine, when linked to U.S. support, risks provoking a more aggressive Russian counterresponse. Yet for Ukraine, the calculation is clear: without decisive victories like tonight's, their ability to defend their territory would be severely limited. The U.S., therefore, faces a strategic choice: continue providing cutting-edge systems despite the risk of escalation, or scale back and risk weakening Ukraine's defense. As we close this half-hour of coverage, here are the key points. Ukraine has downed a Russian aircraft with direct US-backed support. Washington is carefully watching events unfold, Moscow is furious, NATO is cautious, and the world is bracing for possible consequences. This is more than a battlefield incident, it is a political flashpoint with global ramifications. In our next segment, we will turn to the broader implications, how tonight's strike compares to historic moments of aerial warfare, and what lessons it offers for the future of modern conflict. Stay with us. This is breaking news.